Hey everyone, it's Elise. Welcome back to the channel where I like to talk about all things personal finance. And today's video is an update, 6-month mid-year update on my net worth value. Today is actually July 3rd, so this is the first video that I am recording in the second half of the year. And I'm doing this because number one, it helps keep me accountable, and particularly I need to be held accountable financially this year for specific strategic reasons that I'll talk about a little bit later on in the video. But I also hope to share this information as a way to encourage someone who is thinking of maybe starting their net worth documentation journey or wants to become better with money over the long term. And I'm sharing it to maybe encourage somebody because I'm a regular person. I'm a regular person in several ways, but I can think of at least 3. And the first one is I do not come from money. Number one, I do not come from money. Number 2, I am a low income earner. I make generally about $50,000 a year, give or take, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, but that's not a lot of money to have a lot of financial goals stretched out. Yet I'm trying to do it anyway. And number 3 is that I'm fighting to become wealthy anyway. I am fighting to become wealthy despite those things I just aforementioned. But in order to do that, that means I have to do significant planning because I do not have that much space to fail. So whenever I make a financial goal, I have to literally and figuratively in my mind measure probably not twice, 3 times, and then cut once in order for the money or that I do have to work for me the best way possible. So the first half of 2025 has been fast for sure because it's already July. I can't believe that. It has been fun for a good amount, and it has been full of non-dull moments with things going on in America at least, and honestly the world, that will affect our money. So at the top of 2025, I wrote down 4 to 5 financial goals that I wanted to work on. And in a few seconds, I'm going to be going over just one for the rest of this video, which is my net worth. And I wanted to progress it by a specific number. Stay tuned for next week, where I will go over the rest in one video to talk about how I'm doing on those. So if you haven't already, please subscribe so you will be like, I'll show up in your feed. And also please like this video. That is also free, and that helps this video get out to other people. My particular goal at the top of this year in January was to increase my net worth by $50,000. Specifically $50,000 because it seemed like a good enough number to stretch me, because last year my net worth increased by, I believe, $35,000 to $40,000, and I'm always someone who wants to go onward and upward. Before I left my corporate job almost 3 years ago now, my net worth journey was starting to get at that exponential point where I was no longer going from negative to positive, because that happened within like the first 3 years. And I wasn't growing slowly. Like the slope was not steep anymore. It started to get really steep because the last increase before I left my corporate job, it increased by $90,000. So then was not a shock when I started making less money that it's only increased by $36,000 to $40,000. So, and instead of making the goal for $40,000, I said, let's make it $50,000 with the hopes of, if I can do that, then I know I can push myself next time and maybe go for 75, blase soise. So in going into the actual calculation, when you are doing your net worth, you want to take the sum of all of your assets minus the sum of all of your liabilities. And I account assets as anything that I can sell today and get cash for. If you love to watch net worth videos, some people do it differently. Some people don't include cars. Some people don't include houses because they're not paid off. But I include anything that if I sell today, I will get cash from. And then as far as the liabilities are concerned, I include that as anything that I have to give my personal cash to not be attached to a different entity, and it is now just solely mine. So for assets, the first line item is my home. And in 2025, as of right now, my home's value is worth $256,900. And let me give you some context. January of 2025, the house was worth $257,000. No, $257,100. So a homeowner, you would think your value increased, but in 6 months, my value has decreased by $200. That says a lot. And I am not surprised though, because housing is shaky right now. Housing in particular areas are shaky, and I'm in that area. Number one, I live in Florida. Everybody and their mom's trying to move out of Florida. Give you an example. I've been looking for jobs. I told you guys that a few videos ago, like looking for another part-time job, whatnot. And then, you know where there are a lot of openings? Tampa, Florida. And that makes sense because people are moving out of Tampa, Florida like crazy. And when people move, the businesses still need people to work there, right? So people aren't going to Tampa. People aren't going to Fort Myers and Naples and things like that. So number one, I live in Florida. Number two, I live in a Florida condo. And almost 5 years ago now, I believe, 4 to 5 years ago, there was a condo that fell not too far away from me. And rightfully so, there are rules, but those rules are expensive and it's pricing a lot of people out. So people do not want to buy into the type of home that I live in. That's where I'm gonna keep it for now. The next thing, retirement. My first retirement fund was my current job, which I transferred from my last job to this current job. And this has been the 401k that I have been investing in now for like 11 to 12 years. That value is at $123,800. And then my second retirement fund, which is from Publix, when they just give you stock and stuff, like they call it their employee retirement plan, that is valued at $177,700. Going into my savings is now $22,100, and that is a significant increase, mainly because I've been getting my butt up on YouTube, keeping myself accountable every month, making sure I add. So that's a positive thing to report. Brokerage account, another thing that I have been adamant about this year, is valued at $2,500. And then my luxuries, I have not put that as a value that changed, and that is at $5,000. That's just things that I have, luxury goods that if I need to sell, I probably could get $5,000 from it. Those are all of my assets, and that totals to be summed at $588,000. Now for my liabilities, the only thing that I have is my mortgage on my home, and that is sitting at $82,800. So then when you subtract the liabilities from the assets, I have a net worth of $505,200. And 6 months ago, it was $482,100. Drum roll, please. The progress means that I am sitting at an increase of $23,100. And if I were to multiply this by 2 to see, am I set to be meeting my goal? I would, by December, if everything goes the right way, I would have increased it by $46,200. So I'm slightly short of my goal. But if I had set it at 40, I might be slightly short of my goal and be at $35,000. So now I gotta take a moment just to see how I feel. And that feeling is, I'm happy. I'm happy that I'm making good progress. Even if I don't meet the goal, because I set a really high goal for myself. That's a good thing to know. Another thing to be considered is that it could go either way in these next 6 months, because the stock market, everything, a lot of things that I have are potentially volatile. So housing market is volatile right now. The stock market is volatile right now. So, and a lot of the stuff I have is in one company stock, So those are things that are out of my control. And even though I'm happy, I'm just gonna focus on putting my head down to keep doing what I'm doing to control the things that I can control, because there are a lot of things that I can't control that I just talked about. A few things that I think are important to take into context about how I got here and some changes that have happened only in the span of 6 months is 2 things. The first one is that I sold my car. And when I made that video in January, I had no plans on selling my car. Not one plan at all. I wanted to keep that car until it broke down on the road, but it broke down on the road 3 months later and I had no choice. I did get some money from that trade-in, and that's not included because I'm using that for a potential down payment for when I get my next car. that date changes often, depends how I feel in the day. It's minimum at the end of this year, but sometimes I feel like I can stretch it out to the end of next year because my man has a car, and also I can get to the bare necessities with public transit here in Florida. The second thing that I think is important to take context is how important this brokerage account has become in my financial plan. And that's with the presumptions that I will never touch it. God willing, please, Lord, let me never be able to have to touch it. But it has fortified it already, and it's not even $3,000. It's trending to be $3,000 balance by the end of this year. But you can't lose with it because more often than not, it's going to have an ROA that is going to increase that money that I would have just spent on getting, honestly, facials and massages. Now, I miss my facials and massages, and I be looking all the time for money to get those. But honestly, the money's not stretching on the $50,000 some odd dollars that I make. So that is a sacrifice that I've told myself, you know what? These last few years in your 30s, sacrifice it so that you're in a much better place in your 40s and you can get all of those things back. But you have to buckle down right now. But the brokerage account has fortified it because not only does it increase in value pretty much 8 to 10%, because at 6 months it's already at 7%, but it gives me dividends. And those dividends they're not that much right now, but I've never been so excited to get $7 a month in my life. And that's pretty much it. Like, I am gonna spend the rest of these 6 months being content in what I have and the progress that I'm making. Because that was also a part of that video I made at the beginning of January. Like, my word for the year is being content, and going over this made me realize, like, I need to lock into that. Be content with the wins that I have and be content with the things that I wish were going along further. I'm just going to be like, you know what? I'm going to spend my days being joyful and like living life and enjoying the things that are invaluable, like spending time with my loved ones and like living a life that is calm, not stressed out. One of those things that have helped me is that I've literally been praying more and just asking God to, just like to calm my nerves when they get a little bit out of control, and asking him for the things that I need, because he says he's going to provide things that I need, and he knows what I need before. So I'm just like, and just remembering what he's done for me in the past. So I'm just like, it gives me the freedom to just enjoy the ride. So yes, I am technically missing my goal of an increase by $50,000 by a few $1,000s, but I'm going to take that progress and I'm going to see where I end up January 3rd-ish of 2026 when I report to you like how it's gone overall. Let me know in the comments how you guys are feeling about your progress so far these last 6 months, whether you're meeting them, you're almost meeting them, or you're not even close. And then on top of that, how you plan to either keep the progress going if you're happy with it, or adjust yourself when you see that maybe things need to be changed. As always, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me, and I will see you guys next week for an update on like the other 4 things that I said that I was going to do financially for myself in 2025. Take care.